yes, what you eat, how much you exercise, how much sleep you get, but also human connection, having fun, mindset, growth, all of these things that are a key element of what it means to be human. The average kid laughs like 300 times a day. And once you pass the age of 25, we laugh what, and you probably know this better than I do, like 4 to 5 times a day. Like we lose this element of being silly, of, just being carefree. And I think it's a big impact on our health. And the more we can get back to that joy, the more it benefits not just us as individuals, but all of us as a community.
This is By Joyan Season 2. I'm your host, Joyan Chan, and every Wednesday we bring you inspiring stories, powerful message, and fun conversations with me and my special guests and friends, and it's my personal mission to empower you to live and lead a life with joy. This podcast is for you if you're looking for more joy, courage, passion, and purpose in your life. Now let's dive into today's episode and get ready to laugh, learn, and live your life to the fullest. Joining us today is the founder of Thrive25, which is a personal longevity advisor and accessible platform that anyone can use to optimize their health. Ryan is a seasoned entrepreneur and health advocate who has raised over $30 million in venture capital and led a startup to over $40 million in annual revenue. At 40, he realized his health had declined, and driven by a desire to stay vibrant for his two young kids, he recommitted to wellness. And this passion led him to co-found Thrive25. So he's here today to redefine what it means to thrive, helping people live healthier, longer, and more vibrant lives. So guys, help me welcoming the one and only Ryan Schneider. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate that very kind introduction.
Thank you so much. And I'm so glad that you are able to join me today. Now, like I told you, I love your website. And so tell me and my listeners, how does your platform guide us or people, individuals in making proactive health decisions that go beyond traditional healthcare approaches?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what we've seen in the last few years is this boom of functional medicine and these cash-based services for whether people want to get testing or they want to get concierge care, because our traditional healthcare system has really been very reactive, right? It's after you've been sick or you've been diagnosed with a disease, that's when you kind of enter into that system. And so people are trying to take control of their health and be more proactive in preventative care. Unfortunately, most of those services are oftentimes very expensive. They're on top of your existing insurance platform. And for the average individual, especially in the US, they're just not really available to them. And so what we're trying to do with Thrive 25 is to unlock the value of what is available to just about everybody with health insurance. So we kind of are their guide to walk through all of the preventive care that you can get to, and then to understand how to make the most out of those appointments or services. So how do you have a great conversation with your doctor so they're not just talking to you, but you're a part of the conversation. You have the information and you feel empowered to actually be a part of what you decide to do for your health. And so we are empowering people with an AI advisor that you can ask any question to 24/7 that's available in your pocket, and it will learn who you are, what your goals are, what your objectives are, and the like. We're helping you understand your blood tests. It's incredible. You were just talking about how we prioritize work instead of our health. Many of us don't really know how our body works. They don't know what these acronyms of our blood tests actually mean. But when you actually stop and think about it, what could be more important than knowing the one body you're going to have in this life and how it functions, how you can protect it, and how you can make sure it's as healthy for as long as possible. So we're really bringing all of this information into easy to understand layman's terms that you can afford, and so that you can really start to take better control of your health through the lifestyle habits that are actually going to make a difference for you to live better, live longer, and have, a lot more energy and positivity.
That is really incredible and life-changing. I have some health crisis last Friday, and it was really frightening. And I had to, go to the hospital and emergency room apparently. And I had to do some tests, right? And all that. So does your platform offer, some testing? Like how does it work?
Yeah, so when it comes to blood testing, so most of us have availability to get at our annual physical, which by the way is completely available in the United States for everyone. If under the Affordable Care Act, everyone has access to an annual physical. And I should tell all your listeners too, make sure you're not even paying a copay for that. It's actually illegal to even be charged any amount of money for your annual physical. So don't put over those $30 if in case it's being misallocated in terms of what your doctor's charging you there. And then during that physical, especially as you get into your 30s and 40s, like get the annual blood work done. And you can make requests of your doctors to say, hey, there's specific biomarkers that I want to know. Sometimes they won't accept all of them, but most of the time, if you have a good reason for what you want to know, they can add those to your panel. And then what we do is any file you ever get with your blood test, which is kind of an eye chart, you can't really make
Yep.
heads or tails of what it's telling you. We built an AI tool that you can upload any PDF, any image into our app. It reads that data, puts it into the database, and now all of a sudden you have this beautiful chart that you can see every single biomarker. We tell you
Wow.
what it is, why it's important to you, what you should be worried about in terms of your risk factors, and what's really key, are you in the optimal versus the normal range? And this is something I really want to harp on because if you go to get your blood test done, what no one understands is the normal range is basically the middle 95% of everyone who's been tested. So as Americans get increasingly unhealthy, that average of the middle 95% just gets more unhealthy as well. It's not actually tied to if you have a higher risk or not based on that specific lab result. And so what we do is we show you what the normal range is, but we also show you what the optimal range is because that's really where your risk factor for things like heart disease or metabolic problems are going to be something you need to be aware of. And so in our charts, you can see it very, very clearly. We try to write it as if it's like we're writing to our kids. My
Yeah.
co-founder, Max, he has a 10-year-old. We're like, would our 10-year-old understand this, right? That's how we want to present it. And so that's how we provide it to you. So you can actually say, wow, I actually know what that means. I know how to protect my liver. And then we give them quick actions that they can do, simple 5-minute habits that actually make a whole lot of difference. So you can start to target that biomarker and say, next year, I want to get an even better result and I want to put myself on the path for better longevity. And so all of that is a part of our platform that we have that it costs nothing else beyond the labs that you're already getting with your doctor.
This is gonna change so many lives because so often, like you said, right, we go to the doctor, we get our results, and we don't know what to do next. It's just, they give us some medications and that's it, right? They don't tell us what to do, what to eat, what kind of habits should we integrate into our lives. And you're so right, because I'm so glad I took a picture of my results. And now when your platform is ready, I can upload it and see, and just come up with a customized plan for me, right? In order to get to the next level, or the results that I want to achieve. So that's really incredible. I'm really excited about this opportunity that you are offering to people all over the world. It's so accessible. I'm sure it's going to be so affordable as well, hopefully.
Absolutely. One of our things is we want this to be cheaper than your Netflix subscription. So we really wanted to make sure that it's democratized, that anyone can afford it. We'll have an annual payment plan or a monthly, and it's really something that we want price to not be the hindering factor. Like I said, if you have a lot of money, it's actually not that difficult to get this type of information or to get these lab results, right? There's a lot
Right.
of innovation happening in healthcare, but most of it is outside the traditional healthcare system, at least here in the US. And so we keep harping on the word democratizing. We want to democratize preventative health. We want to make it sure that everyone can be empowered for this. And so, yes, we're doing our absolute best to make sure that this is as affordable as possible.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now, you and Max, you talk about, when I was just doing my research, my homework, you two talk about joy, energy, and mindset, which is what, really attracts me to two of you, because I'm all about joy, right? I'm all about finding joy, creating joy, and energy as well. I know just how important it is, and getting your mindset right. So you talk about joy and energy are not just outcomes, but they are crucial elements to building and maintaining longevity. So can you share why energy, joy, and mindset are essential to health, wellness, and our longevity?
I think First, I'll just start with the definition of longevity. We don't think of it just as living longer. Of course, we do want to maximize our time that we do have available in our lifespan, but you've heard the term like health span and some other things, but we look at it like, are we making the most of every single day? And when you talk about the problems that people have, whether they have a metabolic dysfunction or maybe they're dealing with a chronic disease or overweight, all of those things hinder not just our lifespan, but what we can give to the world today. And so what we want to do is we want to help everyone maximize their energy. So when you wake up, you're ready to be the best version of yourself. You're not feeling like you're compromised and you have to make sacrifices that you can't do the things you want to do. And so much of our research is around how do we help you optimize your energy? Everything we do, right? How we breathe in our oxygen, the fuel and the food that we eat, it's either fueling us and giving us energy, or it's a toxin and it's taking us more energy to digest and process that food. And then we don't have energy to live our life. And so we really want to make sure we're not just focused on tomorrow, but living our best life today. And so when we talk about energy, mindset, joy, it's really how do we feel today? And then we add that to what am I able to do, right? Our functional age. Am I physically able to do the things I should be able to do at our age? And then we go, and then the third pillar is what we just talked about, the lab results. What risks are there in the future that I can't see? And what we think is once you put those things together, how do I feel? What can I do? And what's my blood telling me? Now I really have a 360-degree view of my health and of my life to really set me up, not just to live longer, but to live even better. And so that's kind of from a technical scientific standpoint there, but it's also true energy and mindset, right? And joy, it does affect our physical health. I mean, optimists absolutely have been proven to live longer. If our cortisol is pumping all the time and we're in fight or flight and we're dealing with stress, then that means the rest of our hormones are imbalanced and we're not again able to do the things we want to do because the cortisol is just dominating our mind share. And so that's why we really wanted to focus not just on blood tests, but we really wanted to say, are you living your best life? I mean, we have a wheel of 9 elements that range from, yes, what you eat, how much you exercise, how much sleep you get, but also human connection, having fun, mindset, growth, all of these things that are a key element of what it means to be human. And so we really think that those are part of what it means to be healthy. And we touch on all of those 9 elements in all of our research and all of the content that we deliver. Even I'll just say on the piece of fun,
Sure.
the average kid laughs like 300 times a day. And once you pass the age of 25, we laugh and you probably know this better than I do, like 4 to 5 times a day. Like we lose this element of being silly, of,
Yeah.
just being carefree. And I think it's a big impact on our health. And the more we can get back to that joy, the more it benefits not just us as individuals, but all of us as a community.
Yeah, which is why the saying is, laughter is the best medicine, right, of all time, which is so true. Yeah, you talk about the 9. I'm so glad you mentioned it because the 9 key areas or aspects that you help improve in our lives. Which of these elements, this is actually one of my questions, like which of these 9 elements do you think people tend to overlook the most, and why do you think that is?
So I think in our I think people know the top of mind from news. What do I eat? Eating and exercise, right, is just always something that people associate with health. I think sleep is increasingly becoming, a hot topic. It used to be we would, be tough if we could, didn't need to sleep, and all the executives, right, like could work day and night, but I think that's starting to shift and change. Meditation is starting to focus on our mindset. We kind of understand we should slow down. But I think human connection and fun are still things that we don't talk enough about because, it's like you even said, we somehow get heads down into our work, say Monday, and then we wake up and it's Friday and maybe we'll try to enjoy a little bit of the weekend with friends or family. But it's not enough for us to actually be living our best lives. And we're now so mobile. We probably live hundreds or thousands of miles away from old friends, from our family, extended family. And I think it's really put a big negative impact on our health when we're not focused on that sense of connection. It's not just the loneliness epidemic. You don't have to feel lonely. It's just the positivity we get when we're connecting with people we care about. And when we don't have that, it really degrades our health. I mean, there's a great book from the Harvard Happiness Study, The Good Life, and everyone they spoke to, right, was
Mm.
when they looked back of who had a fulfilling life versus those that didn't, it all came down to relationships. And I think we all say that, but I don't think our actions follow up with our words when we say that that's important to us.
Yeah, connection. But to me, going back to energy, because I choose who I want to spend time with, because I know, imagine I don't want to spend time with negative people because they are draining my energy, right? And that's why I'm very careful with who I choose to hang out with. Yeah, family for sure, but sometimes they can be negative too, right? So yeah, so it's just being intentional with how you spend your time, how you invest your energy, and the people that you choose to spend time with. Yeah, I believe that's part of what it means to have meaningful connection, right? Authentic connection, or loving connection. So yeah.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's really important to think about your relationships just like food, right? It's either fuel and benefits you, or it could be toxins and could be a poison to you. And you really have to be selective of who you spend your time with and how. But I also think that there's a piece on us that is overlooked. There's an amazing book that I would say in many ways changed my life by David Brooks, How to Really Know Somebody, How to Really Know Someone. And having that empathy, right? Asking that extra question of someone as opposed to when someone's like, "Oh my gosh, my kid was sick this week," and you're like, "Oh, I know, mine too." And you think you're actually connecting with them, but all you're doing is topping their story instead of digging in deeper to really understand, "Hey, what was that like when your kid was sick? How did that affect you and your family? Is there anything I can do?" And that person just wants to kind of vent or wants to share and get out. And I think it's on us to be good friends and family members and to have that empathy and to remember um,
Wow.
we're our own center of attention, which makes sense. But how many times can we get outside of our own viewpoint into someone else? And I think that really, really changes relationships in ways that we don't do on enough on a daily basis.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that perspective, right? Which is, you never know what's going on with others. You don't know what they are going through, what they are struggling with. They can be, dealing with some really challenging times, right? So, and the other thing that I want to talk to you about is burnout, because before our recording, I talk about I was always hustling, working hard on my business and trying to just like, I'm a high achiever, right? All about achieving things. So I don't experience burnout, it's all like I'm so used to it, right? But burnout is something that is so common that everyone is familiar with in the modern world, in the modern society. So how can people reorient themselves towards sustainable progress, rather than instead of falling into the cycle or the trap of hustling culture or the constant achievement, so that we can avoid burnout or stress.
Yeah, I don't think, and everyone's unique. I don't think there's any one thing, but there's a few things that come to mind for all of us to kind of think about how to reduce burnout. First is just taking the time of what are you actually trying to achieve, right? What is the objective? Is it, just getting any next title, getting as much popularity because that's going to boost your business? Is it getting as much money as you can? Like, I think if it's never enough, you're just constantly chasing rather than saying, I'm doing this because it's fulfilling, or I'm doing this to make enough money to sustain my family. But you kind of have to have goals of saying, there's a ladder that I'm achieving, but it's not a never ending ladder that I need to do this
Right.
24/7. And so you kind of want to think, where am I going and why? Take a minute to really think about what's most important to you. And then once you do that, you say, well, gosh, my relationships are important, or my health and working out is important. And so create those boundaries that say, I can still be successful, but I need to protect myself first and be the best version of myself to even be productive. And so create those barriers, and so that you have time during the day to recharge, to give to yourself when you're not working. Um, and then this last piece I found is like the almost the secret ingredient of that. Let's say everyone defines their boundaries. Okay, I'm not going to work, this evening after 7 o'clock. I'm going to be with my kids, or I'm going to go to the gym. But what happens is we ruminate. we think about work when we're not at work. And that's actually the biggest source of burnout. We actually aren't getting burned out typically when we're working. We're actually getting burned out when we're not able to fall asleep at night thinking about work, or we're having dinner with our kids wondering, oh my gosh, I have to get back to that presentation. And that's what's creating the burnout. And so the key is really, I've decided to make the boundaries. I'm not in front of my computer right now. There's nothing I can do about it. So how can you make that switch to be as present as possible right now and recognize I will worry about that when there's actually something I can do about it? And I think the more you can try to switch off that rumination in your head, then that's a really big key for burnout.
Yeah, I mean, so how did you and Max get together and create this amazing platform? Because I know your background is in consulting, right? And helping others, entrepreneurs especially. So how did you then create something else? Like, how did it happen?
It's a great question. So Max and I have actually been friends since we were about 12 years old. So we went to middle school together, played sports together, challenged each other, and we've just stayed close despite, living in different cities, having our families in different jobs. And so it was always at one point in time, we're like, we should just be spending time with each other to build a business, right? Like, how great would that be? And right after the pandemic, the stars kind of aligned in terms of where he was with his consulting business. I had just moved and left my full-time job and was just kind of advising. And we both had this passion for wellness, and we said, this is the time. Let's brainstorm and try to put something together. Now, the key with any startup is don't create something that you think is sexy but doesn't solve a problem, right? You're
Right.
only going to have be successful if there's a definite need and people are seeing that there's an issue that you're helping them with. And so we probably spent about a year um, really just doing research, not trying to add yet another wellness company that the world didn't need, but rather just listening to people. What are the problems that they're dealing with? What are the things that are holding them back with their health? And that's why we started with the newsletter was, this is when the big podcasts like Andrew Huberman and others were coming to popularity. And I said, gosh, I can't listen to 2 hours multiple times a week to this podcast. It's just too much time. So what if we create the cliff notes of what all of this great content is, and someone could read it in 3 to 5 minutes, and we can build a little bit of a, kind of a subscriber base. So that's what we did. And that's why we have 400 newsletters to date, because we were just writing about the latest science and what we thought was the good and the bad and kind of the BS that is out there. And then we just kept listening. What did people respond to? What were they reading? What were they clicking on? What were they telling us that they wanted more of, or maybe not so much of? And that's how we ended up getting to this platform that we're now built, that was built and in beta, because we just spent all that time listening to our readers. And I think that's the key of any startup, of any business, is don't build something because you think it's really fun and sexy and it might help you. Make sure there's a lot of people out there that really need it and it's something that they're going to pay for. And so hopefully we've done a good job with our homework there, and we'll be successful with this new platform because we've put in the time and effort to really listen.
No, I think what you have built is incredible. Like I said, I know it's going to be a huge success. I'm so glad that I get to share it with my listeners. And also, you're so right, because we tend to fall, as entrepreneur or business owner, we tend to fall in love with our product, but not with our customers, right? Which is the number one issues with a lot of people. So yeah, and I think the other issue is that we struggle with setting realistic health goals, right? Or fitness goals. So how, because I know your platform is gonna help people create habits, like goals, right? To create small goals so that we can have sustainable progress. So how does it help? How is it gonna help people to create goals that are both achievable and also meaningful at the same time, and also sustainable? What would be the approach?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're thinking is really what we're calling quick wins, and these
Right.
are the habits that typically will take less than, call it 5 minutes at a time or throughout the day, and will be something that you control, right? So any habit, if you're focused on the what you can do as opposed to the outcome, we can't control the outcome. We can't control if we sleep 8 hours tonight. We can't control if we lose 5 pounds, but we can control the routine before we go to bed, right? We can control how we think about food and exercise. And so we're trying to make it So it's controllable, it's simple, and it's a habit we can do daily. So here's a couple of examples that I try to do myself that might be relevant. So if someone gets their lab results back and is saying, I'm really just trying to move more, it's really not enough to go to the gym, say 30 or 45 minutes, and then you sit the rest of the day, right? You gotta as humans, we're meant to be moving all day. And so maybe one of the habits that I do is actually I do 25 movements as soon as I get out of bed. So literally right next to my bed, we're supposed to get our heart rate going, right? Like you've heard from people like Andrew Huberman and others, go get the daylight, get it into your eyes, reset your body to move. You want your temperature to get up and you want light in your eyes and you want to feel like, okay, I've shifted from sleeping to being awake. So right next to my bed, I typically do 25 push-ups. It might be 25 toe touches. It might be 25 squats. It might be jumping jacks, but I get the body moving right away. And all of a sudden I feel like an athlete. And it's such a simple thing, but now I'm like ready for the day. I'm not dragging myself to the bathroom and like going through this slow motion morning. Or maybe for some people, they have to have that reminder to get up every 2 to 5 minutes per hour and move, right? It might even be just walking around the block or walking around their house if they work at home. Again, maybe doing some squats, maybe just kind of like shifting their body. But as they're doing that regularly, they're going to feel more athletic. They're going to feel like, hey, this is so approachable for me to get up every hour for a couple minutes. And then that triggers something in our brain that it makes us again feel like we're an athlete. It makes us feel like we're active. It makes it feel like we're doing something good for ourselves. And that has such a snowball effect throughout the rest of the day that we're going to make other better decisions, what we eat, how we think about sleep, maybe how we think about alcohol, because we're doing these micro habits. And so those are just two in the movement realm. But like I mentioned, those 9 elements we have things like remember to laugh today. We have things like remember to drink your 10 cups of water today. Even like something like flossing, right? So that some people struggle with. If you get your blood test and your C-reactive protein, which is your measure of inflammation, is too high, well, now I have a real good reason to floss because gingivitis and the bacteria in our mouths is tied to inflammation, which is tied to potential dementia and other cognitive decline. And I see that in my blood test. So we're trying to connect these habits with real data that is most important for you. And now it's not like some random habit tracker telling you to floss.
Mm.
It's like we're connecting this to a bigger picture for you, and you know the why of why you're doing something.
Yeah. But I have a question though. I think the reason why most people fall out of their habits or even they stop going to we all sign up for a gym membership and, we never go, right? And 2025 is just around the corner. We will set goals, we'll sign up for a new membership and we just never follow through, right? So, which I think the biggest issue again is when it comes to health, right? Is consistency, right? We know we have to exercise more, we have to move more, we have to laugh more, we have to connect with nature. But even for me, right, sometimes I set a new habit and I just don't stick to it, right? Maybe for a couple of weeks, a couple of days, and I just, I'm just not gonna do it, just never gonna do it again. So how does your platform solve this problem when it comes to, you know, having the consistency? Does it like send you reminders or alerts? Like, how do you see this happening?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, it's tying the right habits to you right now. I think a lot of times we fail because maybe someone says, I'm going to lose 15 pounds or I'm going to go to the gym every day, but they don't really have their own why for that. Maybe their friends are doing that. Maybe they just feel like that's something they should do
Right.
theoretically. But we try to go a little bit deeper again of saying, okay, what are your biggest goals that matter to you? Because if it's like selling to a business, if it's not one of the top problems, you're never going to be successful in selling to your a company. It has to be one of the biggest things you care about. And so we really try to help people. What is the thing that matters right now? And can you just do that for 25 days? And
Mm.
then from there, figure out, do you do another habit or do you stick with that habit because it's really meaningful? Yes, we have reminders. Yes, we have inspiration, all the tactical things, right? That, atomic habits, tiny habits, all the things you should do. But I think the big thing, Joy, too, is that you mentioned is what can you control and an outcome versus a process. Don't say I'm going to go lose 10 pounds. Just say I'm going to move every day, right? Because I can do that and I can be successful at that. But if I go try to say I'm always going to get good sleep, try I'm going to lose weight, try I'm going to never cheat, like all those things are really hard. to focus on the outcome. There's too many variables. But we want you to do things that are controllable. And then what you said is that energy, mindset, joy. Can we tie it back that the days you do those habits, do you have more energy? Do you have more joy? Are you more positive? And can we make that connection for you? So now it's not like there's this long-term goal, again, like longevity. I think it's really hard for people to be like, well, I don't want to get sick when I'm 60, so I should do this today. No, humans, we're not like that, right? We need that instant gratification. And I think that energy, mindset, joy is that reminder that when I wake up and do 25 push-ups next to my bed, I have more energy all day. And if I
Yeah.
don't do that, I'm sluggish and I'm not at my best. Or if I ask an extra question of my kid when I pick her up from school, that brings me more joy. I go to bed with more gratitude that night than when I'm not actually present with her. And so I think closing the loop on the why for that individual is so key to keep those habits going and say, this isn't about living till you're 90 or 95. This isn't about your blood work. This is just about making the best of
Yeah.
what you have available to you right now today.
Yeah, because you're right. We never know what's gonna come tomorrow. We never know what's gonna happen tomorrow, right? We don't even know. Tomorrow is not guaranteed, right? But today is all that we have, right? It's all about living the best life that, yeah, I'm all about that, right? Making the best out of your life every single day. So now thank you so much for coming and sharing so abundantly with me and my listeners today. I'm learning so much from you so far. Now tell my people how they can access the platform and what the next steps would be for them.
Yeah, absolutely. So just go to thrive25.com. That's the website, and you can subscribe right there to join our waitlist. We're in a beta launch today in the end of 2024, but we're going to be launching to everybody here right after the new year. And we can't be more excited to get you into our platform. But even in the meantime, if you sign up today, you're going to get access to our twice a week newsletter, which that newsletter is a very quick read. Hopefully it's you learn one thing, can try one new thing, and feel more positive about your day. That's what we try to incorporate into each of our newsletters. Like I said, we've written about 400 of those. You'll get those on Tuesdays and Fridays. That can start immediately, and then we can't wait to welcome you into our platform, hopefully in the next couple of weeks and months.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's all about getting the quick wins and building a momentum, right? Because no one needs motivation, we all need momentum. So
Right.
yeah, thank you so much again. Guys, go for Ryan and just give a shout out to both of them and join the wait list, visit the website. I'll put all the links and resources in the show note below. And please also share this episode with your friends and family and help them to, live longer, healthier, and happier life. And this is also how you help us, the podcast, to grow. And I will always leave you the same way as I leave with every other episode. Show up. The world needs you and you need you. Thanks for listening, and I wish you all a joyful and amazing day ahead. Thank you again for tuning into Find Joy Joyan podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, take a screenshot and share it on your IG story and tag findjoyjoyan_podcast so I know you are listening. And leave us a positive review on Apple Podcasts if you haven't already done so. And remember to hit the subscribe button whether you are listening on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, or any of your other favorite platforms. If you love what we are doing and want to become one of our sponsors, you can send me a DM to connect. And thanks for being here. I will see you soon in the next episode.